Hey everybody, and welcome to Bits of Board, where we're talking board games, miniatures, cards and dice. My name's Michael, and today we are finally having a look at Claustrophobia 1643. This is a review, no unboxing. I'm going to take you through the overview of the game, and then I'm going to take you through a full scenario. Yes, get to see this game in action from beginning to end, something I'm very excited to show off here. Now we're going to be doing the overview a little bit differently this time. I'm going to try and make it as seamless as I explain the ins and outs, but by no means is this a full rules explanation. This is more of a get to know the game and then see it in action, a scenario from beginning to end. So I hope you like it. If you do, let me know down in the comments below. If you hate it, I'm sorry, let me know in the comments below, but be nice. That being said, let's get into talking about Claustrophobia, which, if you haven't heard of it before, is a reprint of an age-old game. This has been a classic on board gamers' shelves for many years. Board gamers, except for me. This is the first opportunity for me to get into it. Now, this is a two-player dungeon crawl kind of thing. Gameplay is asymmetric, providing two completely different player experiences. The first is the human experience, with the player controlling up to 5 powerful warriors exploring the cavern system below New Jerusalem. They are usually the driving force behind a scenario, controlling exploration and setting up challenging situations for the Infernal player to overcome. The Infernal player's experience is more reactive, as what they can do is largely bound by the human player's position and the current state of the map. While not immediately as powerful as the humans, the Infernal player whittles away at their strength, stalling them as their own power grows, paving the way towards a climactic showdown between the forces of good and evil. Let's look at the basic turn structure divided into 5 phases. The first 2 rounds belong to the human player, meaning they get the first activations on any given round. In the human's preparation phase, the player will determine the gameplay stats of each of their warriors. They do this by rolling dice equal to the number of heroes and assign them to placement locations on their dashboards. Each location offers a different balance, allowing the players to focus and change their strategy on the go. But as the game goes on and the humans accumulate wounds, their placement locations shut down, forcing the warriors into exhaustion. The human activation round follows. Here the human player will activate their warriors in order to explore the catacombs, initiate combat, and make the most of any previously assigned instincts. Instincts can be gained a number of ways through the game, most often by activating specific placement locations on the human dashboards, but can also be gained by exploring the map. See, these are double use cards, either offering a powerful ability for the remainder of the round or a replacement dice value that can be used during preparation. The Infernal preparation phase works similarly to the human players and involves rolling and assigning dice. However, the Infernal player has a number of different options, powers they can activate. The Infernal player must roll 3 dice and may use them to prepare any number of powers. If a power is fully activated, then it's resolved. Otherwise, the dice are left inactive and can be built upon next turn. The next is the threat phase, where the Infernal player may spend their accumulated threat summoning their warriors. Troglodytes, hellhounds, and demons. These are the Infernal player's forces on the battlefield. When summoning, the Infernal player usually has to abide by 2 restrictions. The first is a warrior must be summoned in an empty tile. The second is that tile must have an unexplored entrance. Now I say usually here because both these restrictions can be overcome by utilizing the powerful abilities contained within the Board of Destiny. Summoning is fairly simple. The Infernal player may summon a troglodyte at the cost of 1 threat per warrior. Usually the Infernal are limited to having at most 11 troglodytes on the map, but must always keep in mind the occupation limit on each tile. Here, up to 3 warriors may be present from both the Infernal player and the human player. Now, troglodytes may be great in number, but they only have 1 hit point, which means they can only sustain 1 damage before they're removed. However, their strength is not in their ability to tank damage, but it's their ability to return to the battlefield. Troglodytes are numberless and may be respawned infinitely after their death. Hellhounds are powerful warriors that can be modified to suit any given situation. Hellhounds can be summoned at a cost of 3 threat, but must also be maintained to be of use to the Infernal player. When a Hellhound is first summoned, the Infernal player may assign a dice from their supply to indicate which of its variable power levels to be active. There are 3 levels, each prioritizing attack, movement, and defense. At the end of its turn, the dice is spent, and should the Infernal player wish to continue using their strength in a powered state, they must assign a dice from their dice rolled during the preparation phase. Unlike Troglodytes though, the Hellhound only has 1 life. When a Hellhound is killed by the humans, they can never return. Demons are powerful, often with their own abilities and powers, but they're not endless. They have 2 lives before they're removed from the game. The final phase is the Infernal's activation phase, again very similar to the humans. The Infernal player will activate their warriors. This time, instead of exploring, we have more of a combat focus, hunting and exterminating the human warriors in an effort to win the scenario. Similar to the human's instincts, the Infernal player may earn and play event cards, which can shift the tide towards the Infernal. But there's always this tug of war, a race to the finish to see who can complete their objectives first and become the overall victor. Alright guys, that's the overview. I hope you've gotten a kind of a feel for this game, because right now we are going to go into a full scenario. Are you ready to see this thing in action? Let's do it. Alright guys and gals, here we are all set up to play a Demon's Soul. This fairly interesting scenario for us to check out. Hopefully a nice and quick one. That means we might get to play the entire thing during this example. But the overall gist is that our humans here, they are looking to explore the catacombs in the direction of the evil. Anytime the heroes explore in the direction indicated, the Infernal player is going to move the turn tracker up a notch. Just like so. And as soon as we hit 8, we're going to flip this guy over and we're going to spawn the Pentacle Room. In this room is the evil that we seek, the Sorcerer, and this is the Infernal player's demon during this scenario, and this is the only way it can be spawned. Now the human's mission is to basically take out the Sorcerer here, but to do so they'll need to move into an adjacent room to locate and destroy the Sorcerer's soul. Once the soul's destroyed, they can come back in, take out the Sorcerer, and if they are able to do that, they're going to win the game. The Infernal player, of course, has other ideas, so they're going to be doing everything they can to prevent the humans even reaching the Pentacle. Here I've got our humans ready to go, or almost. The Redeemer receives 2 gifts, the Aura of Courage and Assembly, and he can activate these if he places a dice the same number as his gift. So if he places a 2, he's going to activate the Aura of Courage. If he places a 3, Assembly. Now, Aura of Courage. This is a wonderful buff that he can grant to an allied warrior. They're going to gain +1 movement, +1 attack, and +1 defense. Assembly provides a little mitigation when it comes to the rolling of the activation dice. We actually get to roll 2 additional dice in the next round if we manage to place a 3. Now our humans also have a couple of pieces of gear floating around. The Redeemer has the Blunderbuss. This allows him to attack at range and gives him +1 dice to roll. The first condemned scout over here has a necklace of ears, troglodyte ears to be specific, which means troglodytes cannot enter into play on the tile occupied by the warrior even if they are exhausted. Now that does mean they can still move into the location, but it just prevents the Infernal player from being sneaky. Our second condemned scout has the belt of explosives. If he is killed, he's essentially going to explode, and all troglodytes and hellhounds present on the same tile will be killed. Now demons may also suffer damage. They're going to roll for 3 hits, but it's the same case for any human warriors in the area. 3 hits apiece for them as well. Now our brute over here, he's rocking the last chance potion, which is going to give him just a slight reprieve from death. The turn after he suffers fatal damage, we're going to be able to remove the wound from his last activated line, and he's going to get 1 more opportunity to do some damage and hopefully win us the game. As for our Infernal player, they're going to start with 4 threat in the bank. We have the ability to summon 2 different Hellhounds on top of our usual 11 Troglodytes. And then of course we have the Sorcerer, who can only be spawned once that Pentacle tile is revealed. Now the Sorcerer, he has 4 hit points, 1 point of movement, 4 points of defense, and 2 damage. But he has a very special ability. If we can assign enough dice to this placement location here, so the values equal 6 or more, we get an automatic wound on 1 human warrior on any tile. Very powerful indeed. Although with only 4 hit points, he's probably not going to last long. All right, let's get into the humans preparation phase. I actually almost forgot here, but as a part of setup, the humans also receive a bonus instinct cards. And yes, I realize I've been calling these talents. So I've drawn one off the top and we get the run instinct here, which will grant one of our humans 1 additional movement. That will be pretty handy later on, I'm sure. All right, we begin by rolling our dice. 2 5s, a 4, and a 1. Now the first thing that I want to do as the human player is I want to unlock some additional instinct cards. And by the looks of things, I'm only going to get 1 out of this. So I'm going to take our rolled 1 and give it to our condemned scout over here, which will grant us an instinct that we can then use on a later round. I might give our other condemned scout the 4 so we can get a little bit of extra movement, and then our redeemer can get the 5 as well as our brute. All right, let's activate. And we've got a job to do. So let's get exploring. We want to explore in the direction of the evil here. And I'm going to take our scout and we're going to draw the top map tile. And we're going to place it right there. Now the Infernal player gets to decide the orientation of the tile, but considering this one is just a straight through tunnel, nothing to do here. We've then got to place our direction token on one of the exits here. There's just 1 exit, so that is our only option, and our scout moves in. Let's keep it going. Our other scout here has 2 points of movement, so we're going to go 1, and then we're going to explore the next room. Uh-oh. We've got ourselves a dead end. Now this scenario's got some special rules regarding the tiles that come out. There must always be 2 unexplored exits present on the map, and thankfully, well, our start tile still has them. So because our direction token can't go in any of the locations on the new tile, our Infernal player chooses which way to go from here, and I think down is going to be the way to go. This is actually a great start for the humans because we are cleaving away at the requirements for finding the Pentacle tile. Let's have our brute explore to the south. We'll move him in and I'm just going to shuffle the map up. And we draw, a big one here, lots of options. Now just to help out the camera so this thing doesn't get too windy, I'm going to place the direction token over here, but just note the Infernal player could take this map in any direction. And we move our brute in. Now I could go ahead and move our redeemer into the same room following the brute, or I could send him out to explore some. But I'm thinking it will be a good idea for us to keep our humans kinda together, not too far out, just in case things go terribly. So we'll end the human activation phase right there. It's time to roll our dice and activate some stuff on the board of destiny. We picked 3, rolled a lot, and what have we got? We've got a couple of reds and a white. Now I'll just quickly go through our options here. Abyssal Threat, this will grant us additional threat so we can summon more monsters. Now this can cost us 1 to 3 dice. We don't need any maximum dice here, just so long as the dice placed are the same color. Next we have Supernatural Speed, and this will grant our Troglodytes +1 movement. We're going to need 2 dice, and it's 2 dice with white facings. Frenzied Creatures over here will allow our Troglodytes to re-roll any misses. We're going to need 2 dice here, and they're going to need to be red. Dark Destiny up here, we only need 1 dice, and here we're only taking into account the number on the dice. And depending on the number on the dice placed, we're going to draw that many event cards and pick 1 to keep. Intrepid Charge over here, we can place any number of any colored dice here, and it will be activated as soon as we reach a total value of 7 on the dice. Once that's active, we're able to spawn our warriors in rooms that contain enemy warriors. Sneaky Charge is the last one here. We're going to need dice up to the value of 8. Once that's activated, we can spawn our warriors in a room that is totally explored. Now I'm thinking because, well, Right now we can't actually spawn any of our warriors in any of these locations unless we get some of our special abilities up and running. So let's get prepared for the future rounds, huh? I'm going to split all of these up. We'll take our 2 here, and we're going to draw 2 event cards, keeping 1. I'm going to throw one of our dice in the Abyssal Threat, which is going to grant us 3 threat. And then with our last dice, I think we're going to get prepared to use our Frenzied Creatures ability. Now the 2 event cards that I've drawn, the first is Toxic Gas. Play this card during a threat phase, choose a tile, roll a combat dice for each human warrior on it, and if we score greater than 3, the warrior suffers a hit. So that's a potential wound. And then we have, the wonderful Demonic Possession. Play this card during a threat phase. A human warrior of your choice who does not have the devoted talent immediately attacks another human warrior on the same tile. They cannot use a grenade or their bodyguard talent. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to take this one, but the great thing about this is hidden information to the human player. They don't know what card they've drawn, so they in no way can prepare for what's going to happen later on in the game. I discard our Toxic Gas, and we move into the threat phase. Now, I don't particularly want to do anything in this threat phase. I can't really spawn any monsters in any of the rooms. I don't want to use our newly gained event card. I'm just going to move straight into the activation phase, and there's nothing for me to do. So, back into the human preparation phase we go. So, in their first turn, the humans explored 1, 2, 3 rooms here. So they're getting very close to finding the evil. Only need 4 more and they're there. This is looking pretty open and shut for the humans. Let's see if they can chase it to victory. Let's go. All right, so let's gather our dice here and we're going to roll again for them in a sec. But first, let's take a look at the new Instinct card and Condemned Scout picked up. We have Energy of Despair. This warrior gains +1 attack, movement, and defense if at least 3 of their lines of activation are cancelled, which means they've got 3 or more wounds. That's going to be pretty useful later on. So let's go ahead and roll here. 3s, 2, and 5. All right, let's throw one of those 3s into the Redeemer here so we can activate Assembly. This is going to give us 2 additional dice to roll next preparation phase. Let's keep going with the Instincts as well. I'm going to take this 2 here and give it to the Condemned Brute. We're going to draw an Instinct card for him there. Now we've just got a 3 and a 5 left. There's no way that we can gain anything great out of that. So let's get some movement going for our Condemned Scout because he's pretty far away at the moment. Let's give him the 5, which is going to allow him to retreat from the dead end he found, which means that this 3 is heading over to the Scout here. All right, that's us prepared. Let's activate. All right, we'll begin with our Condemned Scout up the top here. He has 2 movements, so let's get him over with the Redeemer, 1 and 2. Now the good news is this is a dead end up here, so unless the Infernal player activates one of their more powerful abilities, they're not going to be able to spawn any monsters along here at all. All right, our other Scout only has 1 movement, so we'll move them in here. All right, so let's activate the Brute next. We'll continue exploring in search of evil. We'll move up, draw a new tile, and we have another crossroads. All right, it's been pretty light on the events at the moment, but that's all we can do. The Infernal player, for ease of camera, we're going to put the exploration token there. So next we'll activate our Redeemer, and even though they've got 2 points of movement, we're only going to move 1 because we don't want to leave this tile here open for the Infernal player to spawn. Right now, we are playing very defensively, but could be a good call. All right, so this dice activated last round, so we move it back to our pool, but, oh, so did this one actually, hooray. So we're going to grab 3 dice from our available stuff here, and we're going to roll up. Oh, and some nice high numbers here. This could be a really good opportunity for us to activate some of our rule breakers. Now, knowing what we know about the humans here, I can see a couple of weak links. That Redeemer is totally out of place. So if we can spawn in his location, man, we're going to have a good time. All right, I'm thinking we're going to activate Intrepid charge so we can head off into an occupied room. To the threat phase we go, and let's start things simple here. We're going to play our demonic possession card here. So I'm going to possess our scout over here, and he's going to attack the other one. We'll begin by checking the attacker's value. As you can see here, we're going to be rolling 2 dice, and the defender has a number 3 there, which means we only need to roll 3s or more to start collecting wounds. Let's roll. Oh, we've got some spin going on. We've rolled a 2 and a 5. So we've got 1 miss there, but a nice free wound on our scout. Here the human has to decide which activation lane is going to be cancelled by the wound. Now at the moment we're prioritizing movement a little bit, so let's chuck our wound on the number 2 space there. It does have a pretty nice defense value, but its attack and movement, they're not the best. So that's how we'll go. Continuing on in the threat phase, let's play a little bit of a game here. We're going to spend 3 threat to send out 1 of our hellhounds and 2 more threat to send in some troglodytes. Now usually we're not able to do this, but thanks to Intrepid Charge being active, we're able to spawn our warriors in enemy locations. Now as a part of summoning, the first time we send one of our hellhounds out, we get to take a dice from our available pool, select a face, and we're going to choose what sort of ability it has. Now this is a very aggressive move for us, so I'm going to select the 1 here, so we gain these stats: 1 movement, 3 attack, and 4 defense. Into the activation phase we go, and let's roll some dice. We've got our 2 troglodytes down the bottom here, 1 dice apiece. Having a look at the Redeemer, we can see he's only got a defense value of 3. We only need 3s here. Oh, a 1 and a 4. At least we collect 1 wound here. And for our hellhound, oh, wow, big rolls there. A 3, a 4, and a 5. Guys, we just scored a total of 4 wounds against the Redeemer. Hectic. What a shame that was. Let's cover up assembly here and a couple of other ones. We've got 4 wounds to dish out. I had no idea the Infernal player was going to go so aggressive. We'll leave Aura of Courage up, as well as his highest defense roll of number 6 here. Wow, what a sucky round. Alright, only 1 tile explored then. The humans have certainly slowed down thanks to that amazing onslaught by the Infernal player. Let's see if they can recover, huh? Alright, serves us right for being caught out of position there. We move into the human preparation phase and we'll take a look at the new instinct card that we got. Sense of Sacrifice. This warrior gains the bodyguard talent. Now we can dish these cards out to anyone, just so long as they meet the requirements of the card. It doesn't have to go to the person who picked them up. Or, instead of doing so, we may choose to use their values on the bottom side to replace a dice roll. And speaking of dice rolls, we gained an extra 2 there from the Redeemer's assembly activation before, so we're going to roll a heap here. Let's see what we can do. Now we managed to pull a 2 here and a 6. Yeah, I think we're going to need that 6 here to try and keep our Redeemer alive, although that Aura of Courage. Yeah, let's go the Aura of Courage there. And we're going to bestow that on the Redeemer himself. We're going to grab a 3 for the Condemned Brute so we can activate not only an instinct card draw, but also we get a ton of attack out of it. We'll give the 6 to the Scout, and then we have either a 4 or a 5 to choose for the other one. Now both of these values are the same, so I guess it doesn't matter. Alright, as far as instincts go, let's double down for the Redeemer, granting another +1 attack, movement, and defense there. And our Brute, let's give him the Sense of Sacrifice. Actually, that's my mistake there. I cannot assign the Aura of Courage to the Redeemer. It's got to be to another party. So let's grab our token for that. And I think we'll give it to one of our Scouts. Alright, so we begin by activating our Redeemer. We have 2 attack dice based on his, normal abilities, but we also gain +1 from the Energy of Despair. Now we could either choose to attack the Hellhound, who currently has a defense of 4, or we could take out the Troglodytes, who only need a 3+. In this case, let's deal with the weedy guys. 3 plus. 1, 2, and 3. So, both of these guys go back to the board of destiny so they may be summoned again. Now the good news here is that we've now evened the odds on this tile. Before, we would not be able to move out of that tile because the enemy had overwhelming numbers. In this case, I think it's a good idea for the Redeemer to kind of bail. He's going to head over to the Brute. And in the interest of continuing exploring, thanks to that +1 movement granted from the Energy of Despair, we're going to continue our way through. And we find a fog tile. Now, the Infernal player could choose to make this a dead end, or could continue going, so let's do that. And we'll place the direction token down here. 2 more tiles, and we've found the pentacle. Now, a tile containing fog will actually grant a bit of a defensive boost to any warriors within, with attacking enemies needing a 6 to actually hit them. Let's get in there with our scouts. We'll begin with our axe-wielding scout jumping in to attack the Hellhound. Now, thanks to his boost from the Aura of Courage, we're going to be rolling 3 dice here against the Hellhound. We need 4s to make the wound. 2, 3, and 3. That is shocking. Nothing else to help there. We're going to move our next scout in. Now, he's only got an attack value of 1, so we're just going to hope for a 4+ here. Hey, and we do make it. And we have our first wound for the Hellhound. Now, our Brute has the Bodyguard talent, which means that he can take wounds in place of another character that he's with. But because the Redeemer drew the fog, I don't think we need to worry too much about him at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the Brute in to attack the Hellhound. So he runs in with the scouts here. Double checking our occupation limit. We've got 3 warriors against the Infernal's 1. All is well. We are going to be rolling 3 dice here, and hopefully we can deal 2 wounds to this Hellhound. 4+. Oh, just 1, not enough. 1 more wound here, and this Hellhound is gone for good. Into the Infernal preparation phase. So let's return our dice that we've activated, and we're going to roll 3 of them. Now, it's important to note that our Hellhound currently doesn't have an activation dice on it, which means unless we use one of these dice here, he's going to be a little bit left out in the open. And with 1 wound left, I think it's pretty important that we get at least 1 more strike in with him. So we're going to assign one of those dice in here. I think we'll keep Frenzied off for the moment. We're going to draw some Dark Destiny and Abyssal Threat. So those 2 will activate. We draw 3 from the event deck. We have Suicide Attack. Play this card during a Troglodyte attack. They gain +2 to attack and then are killed after resolving. Toxic Gas, a 2 out of 3 chance here to deal a wound. And Demonic Rage. The demons and the Hellhounds gain the Frenzied talent during the following activation phase. That one's pretty interesting. I think we'll keep that. We'll resolve our Abyssal Threat here, gaining another 3 threat. Oh. And into the threat phase. Alright, we've got a really good opportunity to get some Troglodytes on the board here. We could even go ahead and spawn our other Hellhound, yeah! So we'll spend a 3 threat here to bring our last Hellhound onto the field, and we'll take a dice from our dice pool. I think we'd better go that 1 as well. Nothing but attack for our hounds here. And then, with our last 2 threat, 2 more Troglodytes. Finally, I'm going to play that Demonic Rage card here, giving all of our Hellhounds the Frenzied talent, which means they can reroll any misses. This is going to be a massive round for us. Let's see how we go. Alright, our first Hellhound is actually going to make their attack here, and we're going to target our scout over here who has a defense value of 3. 3 dice, 3+. 2 hits there. Big stuff. Now, thanks to our Frenzy talent, we get to re-roll that miss. And it's a 3rd hit. Brutal. 1, 2, and... let's space them out a bit. We'll go 3 here. So much damage, and it's not even done yet. We're going to move in with our second Hellhound. They're going to attack the exact same scout. 3 dice, 3+. 1, 2, 3 hits. Now that is enough to kill him in this particular sense. However, we do have our brute out there on the board, and he's got the bodyguard talent. Actually, he's got the bodyguard talent as a part of his character sheet. You remember when I assigned him the bodyguard card down here? Didn't need to. Whoopsies. We may choose to assign the hits that would now kill our condemned scout. We can move them to our brute, which I think we're going to have to do here. All right, 1, 2, and 3 in this instance. That was a big round for the Hellhounds there. They are so powerful when used right. Let's move 1 troglodyte in, and we'll attack our damaged scout here. 1 dice, 3+. And it's a hit. We'll lose our last defensive placement location there. 2 more wounds, and this guy's gone. Now we've got 1 more troglodyte, and he would love to move into that other map tile, but we're at the limit of how many warriors we can have on the tile. So instead we're going to move this one, and he's going to take a chance on the Redeemer. We do need a 6+ here though. And we roll a 1. Terribly. Okay. No re-rolls there, as the demonic rage does not affect them. That is the end of the Infernal activation. Alright, so let's take a look at our newly gained talent. Go for it. This warrior gains the elusive talent. So this is going to allow a warrior to sneak out of a location that has too many enemy warriors in it. Not forgetting also we have the run card, which I've failed to keep in my hand here. Okay, let's roll some dice. And I think we can actually assign everything. Oh my goodness. All right, well this one we're going to give to the condemned scout because that's one of the only rows we can activate without causing him exhaustion. Not only that, this will draw us a new instinct card. We'll pop a 3 up here, a 3 down here, and our 2 we're going to fit in for the Redeemer to activate his Aura of Courage. Let's give that to, well, I think the Brute is a good call. And I'd love to give a little something to the Scout as well. And to do this, I'm going to have to activate the Redeemer's Blessed ability. Thanks to this symbol down here, we have a once a scenario power to utilize. And this one is fantastic, granting 1 additional movement and 2 additional attack. And I think we'd better hand it over to the Condemned Scout because he's not going to get a better chance to do some damage. As for our instincts, I think I'm going to give the Brute an extra movement, and I think we'll hold on to the elusive trait. All right, let's activate. All right, let's start with this absolute shambles over here. We'll begin with our axe-wielding scout. We've got 2 attack, and we're going to target the wounded Hellhound. We need just 1 single 4+ here to take him out. And we get it with the skull. That is an auto wound, and this guy is out of there. Next, I'm going to attack with the Brute, and he's bringing a total of 4 attack. We're going to try and land them on the surviving Hellhound here. 4+. 2 hits, not bad. 1 and 2, and then we're actually going to move on out of there. Now we've got a total of 2 movement points thanks to our Run Instinct card that we played. So we're going to go 1 and 2, hanging out with the Redeemer. All right, let's attack with our second scout. Thanks to the Redeemer's buff here, we're going to be rolling 5 dice in attack. We only need 1 wound against that Hellhound there. Let's hope we can roll 1 here. Oh, so close. We pull just 1 here. Wowza. And the second Hellhound is gone. After that glorious attack, we're going to move the scout out of there. We're going to go 1 and 2. We've got the team back together. Nice work. Last but not least, we have our Redeemer's activation. And they are going to begin by moving, actually. So, we'll explore a new tile. And, awesome. Another hallway. Just 1 more room, and we've made our way to the Pentacle. Now we won't leave it here for our Redeemer because they have an action that we haven't had a chance to use yet. And that is for us to use the Blunderbuss. This is a ranged attack weapon which grants us +1 attack here. Now, of course, we do have a troglodyte in the room adjacent to us, so we're going to go ahead and try and take him out. We get a total of 3 dice here, and we need a 3+. Boom! Gone. Let's see the Infernal player deal with that. Alright, that was a massive round there. Let's get our dice back. Now, we're going to need to roll 3, of course. Ooh, big numbers. Alright. We definitely need some threat, and I think we'd like another event card. Activate the lot, 6 threat in the bank. We draw the top 3 cards of the event deck, and this is what we get. Under the sign of the demon, we may play this card during the threat phase. Choose a demon or a hellhound to gain +1 movement, attack, and defense until the beginning of the following turn. Terror, play this card during a threat phase. Move an enemy warrior to an adjacent tile regardless of the blocking rule. And demonic rage, which would give our demons another frenzied run. But guess what? We got no hellhound. All right, I think we're going to keep the under the sign of the demon one because we need to prepare for when our sorcerer comes into play. Onto the threat phase, and we need to get some troglodytes on the board. We have 6 threat in total, and I'm going to spend the lot. 3 so we can spawn 3 troglodytes in the adjacent room to our warriors there. 3 more at the entrance there. Let's begin with our first set of troglodytes. Let's move into the fog room, and let's see if we can take on the scout. 3 troglodytes. We are, of course, going to need a 6 thanks to the room type. There's a hit. Now, our brute can decide to take this damage if they want, but I think he's going to need all the options available to him. That wound is going to go to the scout. Oh, 1 more and they're gone. Our next troglodyte is all on his lonesome, and he's going to need a 4+ to do a wound here. With a 1, we do not make it. But we are going to move out of there so we can allow the next 3 trogs to move in. Send in the backup. 1, 2, 3 troglodytes. 3 dice, 4+. Only 1 hit there, but it's a doozy. All right, we're going to cover up that 3 space there. All right, a new preparation phase for our humans. So let's get ready to roll the dice. Let's first take a look at our new instinct. We have available to us a +1 defense. That could come in pretty handy. All right, let's start by rolling. We've still got all 4 dice available. Oh, and we might just get to activate everyone here. Hang on. 2 for our Redeemer. That's a nice bit of courage. We've got a 2 over here. Oh, this is a good round for us. Now I'm going to give our Redeemer that vigilance. And now let's collect our new instinct card. So we get 1, 2. We get 2 new cards. Very nice. So I'll put them aside for use next turn. And I think we're all set. So let's get into it. All right, so let's activate our Redeemer here. He's going to move ahead towards the direction of evil. And here we have another tile of fog. This moves us to the 8th spot on the turn tracker, which means our next tile drawn is going to be the pentacle. Next up, we're going to activate our scout. Now, he's in a spot of bother there. We've got 3 troglodytes in the room with him, which would usually prevent him from moving off the tile. The good news is, though, he is rocking the elusive trait, so he's going to be able to move. But he's only got 1 point of movement. Oh well, let's move him into the next area, and then let's see if we can take out this troglodyte with an attack. We get 1 dice, 3+, and we make it. This guy is out of there. Next, we've got our main group here. We'll begin activating our scout there. They've got 1 dice. Let's roll to attack those troglodytes. Yes, the 3+ there, and we managed to take 1 with us. And with him dead, we'll move out of the location. Oh, good news. He's actually got 2 points of movement. So he joins the Redeemer, so close to their goal. Lastly, we have our Condemned Brute. We may as well try and attack these troglodytes. We've got 3 dice to roll here, 3+. 1, 2 hits, which is enough to take out the remaining beasts. 1 and 2. Things are starting to look super strong for our humans here. All right, it's time for the Infernal player's preparation phase. we roll our dice, and honestly, things are not looking good here. We need threat, and we need some way to spawn our creatures here. Oh man. Alright. Let's get that 1 out of there. Let's get a 3. Do we want it in the sneaky charge bit? Let's start with intrepid charge. And with our last dice here, let's draw a couple of events. Alright, we got 2 here. All hope is lost. Play this card during a threat phase until the beginning of the next threat phase. None of the human warriors have the elusive talent. Ooh, while all the troglodytes have the elusive talent. Nice one for us. Or, aha, tough troglodytes. Play this card during the threat phase. Place a tough troglodyte on the tile of your choosing, only taking into account the occupation limit. Awesome. We're going to need some of these guys, but potentially not just yet. So we've activated that. We'll activate this one, gaining 3 more threat, and we move into the threat phase. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bad idea or not, but I'm not actually going to spawn anyone just yet. We're going to move straight into the activation phase and send our troglodytes in to attack the fleeing scout. Oh, lucky him though. He's got a defense rating of 5, which means we're not going to have too much luck wounding here. We get 1. All right. Let's lose one of those middle activation spots there. And that's it. Back to the human preparation phase. We'll start by taking a look at our newly available instinct cards. We have Skill, which grants us an additional attack, and Fit of Rage, which grants one of our warriors the Frenzy talent. Let's go ahead and roll our dice. No, we're going to have to miss out on someone, I think, here. So we've got a 1. And the only one we want to give that to is our Condemned Scout over here, which will grant us a new Instinct card. So that's a good start, kinda. The 2 could either go to the Redeemer or the Condemned Brute. Yeah, I guess we're going to have to send it to the Redeemer. Activating the Aura of Courage. Let's give that to our Axed Scout. Now the question is, how do we assign these 2 dice? We have a 4 and a 5, and unfortunately the 5 spot on both of our warriors here is marked off, which means one of our warriors is going to become exhausted. I'm actually going to give this one to the scout, knowing what I know about the mission, and our brute, well, he's going to have to take a breather. By activating a wounded line, we lose a bunch of ability. We go down to 0 movement, 0 attack, and only 3 defense here. Oh. We'll begin with our scout, who is so far away. Thanks to the Aura of Courage, this is going to be 4 dice. And we need 3s, 1 and 2, okay? So we'll take out 2 troglodytes, leaving 1 left, and then we'll move just 1 point into the fog up the top. He's looking pretty happy there. Let's activate our last group and get into the pentacle. We'll move our Redeemer down and we flip over our turn tracker. Here we go. This is where we need to be. Now, as soon as this is revealed, we place the Sorcerer. This is the only way that this demon can come into play during this scenario. Now, the other little bit of setup that we've got is we must place a stash tile next to the room here, because this tile contains the Sorcerer's Soul, our main target for this mission. If we can destroy this thing, we can take down the Sorcerer himself. We're unable to activate the Brute, so let's get the Scout in play, and we are going to fly through that pentacle room. 1, and with our second point of movement, yes, we're going to move straight into the stash room there. Now, the scenario rule for the stash tile: if a Western warrior ends their activation on this tile, they automatically destroy the Sorcerer's Soul, which means the Sorcerer is now their last target for victory. Oh boy, and this is just about game, right? Oh, I didn't see that coming at all. So let's grab our spent dice here and we roll. Oh, big numbers there, very good. All right, I'm hoping we can pull this off. We'll grab these 2 dice here to pad out the Intrepid charge. This means we can now summon our warriors into rooms that contain enemies. And finally, with our last red dice, we're going to finally activate the Frenzied Creatures, which means all of our troglodytes will gain an additional re-roll here. And for the threat round, there is no mucking about here. We're going to spend all 3 points of threat to summon our troglodytes into the room with the Redeemer. On top of that, we're going to summon a tough troglodyte. These guys are awesome, having 2 movement, 1 attack, but 5 defense and the frenzy trait, which means they get to re-roll their misses anyway. And then the last thing, we're going to assign under the sign of the demon to our sorcerer here, who's going to gain +1 movement, attack, and defense. Let's activate. All right, because I'm all about leaving the good stuff for later. Let's move our troglodyte in here with the fog room with our other scout. 1 dice, we're going to need a 6+. No good. All right, into the action. Now there's quite a lot going on in here, but it's okay. This room has an occupancy limit of 5, which means we're all good. We've got 3 troglodytes, a tough troglodyte, and our demon itself. Let's begin with the troglodytes, the not so tough ones first. We're going to roll 3 dice attacking the Redeemer, who has a defense rating of 4. 4+. 1, 2 hits. Check it out, skull and a 5. That means the Redeemer is gone. What a massive attack there. Awesome. But there's still work to be done. We've got our tough troglodyte left here, who's going to run into the other room with the scout here. We've only got 1 dice, but we get a reroll. We managed to pull the 4, and his defense rating is 3. That is a wound and another kill. Wow, that's 2 down, 2 to go. But that's not all though. We've still got our sorcerer who's going to take on the brute. Now the good news for the sorcerer is that they have the ranged attack ability. And thanks to the extra dice granted with this one, we're going to be rolling 3 dice against the brute. Now, unfortunately, this is going to be 6s because he's in a fog room. No good at all. Now, I almost forgot the scout here who was killed. He was wearing the belt of explosives, which means all hellhounds, all troglodytes in that area are killed as well. Exciting stuff. Let's head to the human preparation phase. All right, so this is bad. We've lost a scout. We've lost our Redeemer. Just 2 heroes left. And that means only 2 dice rolled here as well. Let's hope for the best. Oh, firstly, let's take a look at our brand new instinct. Charge. The warrior gains +2 attack if they engage combat after having moved at least once. Cool. We roll our dice. We get a 1 and a 5. That is really bad news for the brute. We can give that 1 to the scout, but our brute is a sitting duck there. No good. Now, thanks to our scout's ability here, we do draw a card, but check it out. We have 3 cards in hand, and we only have 2 warriors, which means we have to discard down at the end of this if we can't use them. I'm going to get rid of these 2 here. I guess we probably should play that skill one so it's not a complete waste. So we're going to head to the activation phase. Our scout is going to have 4 attack. We begin attacking the troglodyte, 3+, and we do make it. He's gone, and now we're going to move just 1 spot, getting closer to the action, but he's not going to get to the brute in time at all. Oh no. Time for the Infernal to activate. Let's roll. Huge numbers, oh my goodness. All right, we'll start by putting a dice in the Abyssal Threat. This is going to give us 3 threat to play around with, nice. But these other 2, I have a bit of a plan for them. We've got 2 3s, and our sorcerer needs a 6+ to activate his ability. Brilliant. Now, just a quick word on these demon abilities. You can actually assign dice to them without the demon actually being on the board already. So we could have been taking advantage, although I think we've played this pretty well so far. This ability, a single human warrior on any tile chosen by the Infernal player suffers a hit. And I'm thinking we add insult to injury. Let's land another shot on the brute. All right, human player chooses there. Honestly, as the Infernal player, we're just trying to lock this board down so that the humans can't pick up that last bit of momentum they need to take down our sorcerer. Into the threat phase, I've got no cards to play, but I will play just 1 point of threat to gain another troglodyte on that area there. I could spend a couple more to chuck them in the top of the map. It looks like this spot in the left here, that's going to be about the only place we can summon, and that is just too far away from the action. So with that said, let's get into it. We'll begin by moving our troglodytes into the room with the brute. Oh, we can only move 3 in because of our occupation limit. They'll attack while they're there. 3 dice, we're going to need 6s thanks to the mist. Oh, and we get 1. How bad is this? Unless the brute rolls a 3, he's not going to be able to activate. Oh my goodness. But it might not be over because the sorcerer has his ranged attack. We've got 2 dice here. 6 plus. No, he's not going to make it, but it's getting so close. We move back into the human activation. All right, so we'll check our new instinct card. Energy of Despair. This warrior gains +1 attack, movement, and defense if at least 3 of their lines of activation are cancelled. Oh, we needed this. All right, let's roll our dice, hoping for a 3. No good. All right, so the 5 here, that's going to go to our scout, and the 2 here, yep, I guess we're going to have to give that to the brute. It's not the end of the world though, because we did pick up that Energy of Despair. I'm going to give it to the brute. +1 movement, defense, and attack. Let's use it. In fact, let's throw charge in there as well. As long as this scout moves, he's going to gain +2 attack, and he's going to be moving very far. With 2 movement, he can make it to the sorcerer. So our humans activate, and our scout, who's all the way up here, he's got 2 points of movement. The first one, he's going to enter the foggy room here, but thanks to his elusive trait, he's going to be able to move straight through and into the action against the sorcerer. We've got 3 dice for our attack thanks to the charge. We're going to need 4s. Oh, only 1 hit. I don't think it's going to be enough. As you can see, our sorcerer still has 3 hit points left. Can he hold? Finally, we're going to activate our brute here. Thanks to the Energy of Despair, he actually has 1 point of movement. But he can't get out of there. Looks like we're going to have to attack the troglodytes in the room. And a 1, he's just too weak to pull it off. The Infernal player prepares. Oh man, another great roll there. We're going to activate that psychic attack like that. And we're immediately going to take down the condemned brute. Yeah, he knew it was coming. That's it, another one down. Or at least for the time being, we do still have that last chance potion on him. Let's hope it makes some sort of difference. And with our last dice, we're going to chuck it in Abyssal Threat again, gaining 3 more threat, but we are going to spend these almost immediately. The threat phase has hit, and we summon 3 more troglodytes. These guys are so dangerous. All right, so our brute is done, so all that's left is to take on this scout down here. 4 dice from the troglodytes. Needing only 3 pluses, we only manage 1 wound here. Next, we'll attack with the sorcerer. 2 dice. Both of them misses. The humans live, and they have just 1 more round in them. All right, with our brute dead, we're not actually going to be rolling a dice for him. So let's see if the scout will activate, and a 1 will take it. They get a card for that one. For the brute though, the last chance potion activates. During the preparation phase of the human player, if this warrior is exhausted, this potion can immediately heal their line of activation and they can act normally. And then they're killed at the end of the activation. So let's lose this exhausted state, and we're in with a shot with 3 attack. We activate first with the brute. 3 dice, 3 plus, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 3 troglodytes gone. But then that's it for our brute. Can't say he didn't go down swinging though. And the scout. We have 3 dice here for our attack, aiming squarely for the sorcerer. Here we go. We're going to need 4s or more for each of these dice if we can win. For us to win. Just 1. Oh. Had we landed all 3 of those, that would have been game. But now, methinks the game is over. Let's begin activating frenzied creatures just in case things don't go well. We'll throw 1 into Dark Destiny and 1 into Abyssal Combat just for a couple more points of threat. Although, yeah, look, let's finish it. Instead of doing that, we take our 6 points and we add them to the sorcerer's ability here. A single human on any tile, suffering a hit. That's our last remaining scout. And that is it. One wound left. We're going to go straight into the activation phase. 4 trogs. Only needing a 3+ guys and gals. We have 3 hits there, and the Infernal player takes the win. What a showdown. Ha ha. That was a doozy all the way down to the very end there. I'm hoping I played things right there with that last chance potion. I have a feeling I should have activated that before he got his final wound, but I'll let you guys tell me where I screwed up there in the comments. But what can I say? This is an incredible 2-player experience. It's not often that you can get a dungeon crawl to the table that works so well at 2, right? This is not just a battle of wits. It's a race to the finish. It's a clash of intellects. It really does have quite a lot going on bubbling beneath the surface. So many times during that example scenario, I thought, nah, the Infernal have it in the bag. Nah, the humans have come back to take this. It was so close, a nail biter down to the end. And that's what you need in 2-player games. Now, gameplay-wise, the asymmetry really does shine through. On one hand, we have this dice placement puzzle. On the other, we're spending our threat resources to summon creatures into the battle. Sure, the core concepts work the same. Combat is the same both sides of the fence, but the journey to that combat is different and interesting in both ways. See, I reckon you could get a ton of replayability out of this just by swapping roles. Yeah, you could go through and captain the Inferno through all the scenarios, and then you've got a whole new set of game to play just by swapping player. Sure, you might have a little bit of insight as to what the other player needs to achieve now, but doesn't that make the game more interesting now that you have an expert facing off against another expert in the field? Man, it's just very interesting. Now let's talk about who is going to like it, who's not going to like it, because honestly, we have a competitive dungeon game here. If you're not into fantasy theme, and if you don't like competitive games, you're probably not going to get into this, because at the end of the day, your mission is to ruin the other player's game. But even as I say that, I feel like conflict-adverse players could appreciate the puzzle and the tug of war that is present in this game for what it is, rather than taking it personally. Obviously, in saying that, the flip side is you are going to love this if you want a little bit of skirmish strategy involved. It takes away all the complexity of grid movement and of building your character, and presents you a team fit for the job every single time. The game is designed so that every scenario you play, there is balance. Now, it's not like you can go into this game half-assed and expect to win. The first game I played, I wanted to kind of experiment and explore a little bit, and because of my wasted time exploring, not pressing towards my goal, I lost completely as the human player. But it really showed how important a mind for victory is, even in the early stages of the game where not much seems to be happening. Absolutely knocking it out of the park with this one, Monolith. Oh, I am so happy that you have this game in your protective arms, because from what I can see in the instructions, you're looking to continue and support this game in the future, which means expansions, which potentially means new types of units that you can use to customize these scenarios, or maybe even build your own. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't build your own scenarios in this game now, but Monolith are better at it than you are, probably, okay? So trust their scenarios, play through them, and once you have a feel for the game, get creative. See what happens when you do a one versus all with an uber powerful character. But that's beyond the scope of this review. Right now, we are talking the base game, and we have an absolute gem here. It's action-packed, it's tense, and it's dice rolling without fear of things becoming too luck-driven. Plenty of mitigation, plenty of options in all cases. This is its own breed right here. I'm absolutely having a blast with it. I don't know if you can tell, but I want you guys to know that this is a game worth tracking down. top quality components, top quality gameplay. There is not much else to say here, guys and gals. So if you've got the game in your hands right now, tell me what you think in the comments below. If you're excited to see the next Claustrophobia campaign pop up on Kickstarter, let me know so that Monolith know. Did you see in the unboxing that they commented? How cool was that? Anyway, that's about it for this one, guys and gals. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that you guys can do to help this channel grow. But besides that, we are about done. So, as always, my name's Michael. This is Bits of Board. We'll catch you next time.